Hey guys, Daniel here with Value Investing with Daniel. Thank you for tuning into this video. In this video, we're going to be discussing ultimately what investing really comes down to when we're looking at those long-term compounders. At the end of the day, what it really comes down to is those future streams of cash, those future cash flows. And as an owner of a company, our aim is obviously to maximize our long-term return in terms of what that company's ability to generate those cash flows are. When we look at different characteristics of a business, like its simplicity, it's the fact that it's a low debt company, the fact that it's in, let's say, a consumer defensive type product, simple products with good management and so on. All these different characteristics of a business ultimately point us back towards one thing, which is the fact that we're looking for predictability in those future streams of cash that we as the owners of the business are entitled to. So a lot of people get confused because they start looking at things like management first or all these other things like low debt and everything, and they look at it as individual points on a checklist, when in reality, those things are only meant to help guide you towards figuring out whether or not those streams of future cash are actually predictable. If we're looking at a cyclical business, it's very hard to predict in 10 years' time what that future stream of cash is going to look like. But if we're looking at simple businesses with low debt, it's a lot easier. The reason for that is because if a company has, like, let's say, a lot of debt, we don't know if the company is even going to be around in 10 years' time, so how can we predict what the cash stream is going to be in 10 years? Same thing with good management. If a company has bad management, it's very difficult to predict that they're not going to run the company into the ground before we even get to 10 years from now. So keep in mind that the overall objective is to maximize our future stream of cash relative to the amount that we're paying for the business in the present day. But we're also looking at it from the perspective of the reliability and the predictability of that future stream of cash. So that also plays a role. And all those other factors essentially point back towards the predictability. So if we look at a business like Ulta Beauty, which is, in my opinion, an excellent business, just went down 9% today, and I think today is the day that I'm going to start buying into this company. When we look at its predictability, we can look at different characteristics like how steady and sustainable and predictable are the free cash flows based on the historical record of the business. And what is the company's debt position? Like a company like this, low debt, relatively simple business with a long runway, leads to the predictability of that future stream of earnings. But if we look at another company like some cyclical, whatever, basic material commodity type business, it would be almost impossible for us to predict what those future earnings are going to look like. So I can predict with relative certainty, maybe 50-60% certainty, that what Ulta Beauty's earnings are going to be in 10 years from now. 50 to 60% certainty. So there's a 60% chance, 50 to 60% chance that I'm right in 10 years' time, roughly, maybe give or take 10 or 15% in either direction, what Ulta Beauty's earnings are going to look like. I can't even come close to doing that for a lot of other types of businesses. But when we find a business like this, where we can be relatively certain of that future stream of earnings, like I say, the most I can ever be sure is maybe 60% confident. But for investing purposes, that's more than enough. That's actually an excellent level of certainty. So the point of this video is, remember that it all comes back to that future stream of cash flows. Everything else that we're looking for, like low debt, simple businesses, good management, and so on, is only meant to lend towards the predictability of those future cash flows. If you told me that there's 100% certainty that a business, you went in a time machine, you went to the future, you saw that a business is, currently earning, I don't know, $2 per share, and, in 10 years' time it's going to be earning $200 per share, and its current multiple is 10, and its future multiple will be, let's say, 20 or something like that. I don't care what the debt is, and I wouldn't care what the management is doing, and I don't care about any of these things because I would be certain because you went in the time machine and saw what those future earnings are going to look like. You see what I'm saying? So it's it's only these different characteristics, low debt, predictability, and so on, or low debt, good management, and so on, only lend towards the predictability of those future cash flows. The future cash flows are not inherently dependent on those characteristics. So I hope the video was informative. Remember that it all comes back to that future stream of cash, and the characteristics that we're looking for lend towards the predictability to that future stream of cash, but the future stream of cash is not dependent on those characteristics inherently. So keep that in mind. I hope the video was informative. Remember, it's all about the predictability of those future cash streams. If you can calculate with relative certainty, 50 to 60 to 70%, that the future stream of cash is going to be X amount in 10 years' time, and based on the current price, it looks as though we're getting a fair deal for that future stream of cash, then it would be a good investment. I hope the video was informative. Thanks.